us all your names then, please?
Yes, I'm Matt Filipiak.
Yes, thank you, Matt. And your other...
Hi, I'm Andrea Morgan.
Andrea? Yes.
I'm Art Bomke.
Art Bomke? Yes.
Thanks for having us. Like I said, I'm Andrea Morgan. I'm an undergraduate in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, and I'm president of the Friends of the Farm group. We are asking Metro Vancouver Board to follow the recommendation of their Agriculture Committee in support of the future of UBC Farm. Friends of the Farm want a win-win smart growth campus that enables UBC to be a good regional neighbor and the model for regional development. By strategically densifying, UBC's housing affordability and endowment goals can be met without sprawling into cherished farmland. As campus neighborhoods are currently relatively low density, it sets a poor regional growth precedent to sprawl into greenfield areas like the UBC Farm instead of strategically densifying elsewhere. The UBC Farm offers one-of-a-kind programs that bolster regional food security by supporting the farmers of the future and helping to connect urbanites with their food. Farm programs benefit thousands of children, First Nations groups, academic researchers, university students, and community members every year. The Farm's programs continue to expand at a rapid rate of about 50% every year, and last year over 20,000 students, faculty, staff, and community members participated in programs on site. The Urban Aboriginal Community Kitchen Garden Project, which brings over 500 residents from the downtown east side to the farm, the Intergenerational Landed Learning Project, where school children learn where food comes from, and innovative biofuels research focused on long-standing growth of poplar trees, are all projects in the area that would be devastatingly impacted by the proposed development.
I'm Matt Filipiak. I've been deeply involved in the campus planning process as past president of the UBC Graduate Student Society as a rep on both the Campus Plan Steering Committee and project team. I'm a student in the Master of Landscape Architecture program, and I'm focusing on food security here in Metro Vancouver. The UBC Farm is an invaluable resource of regional significance. For food security, it grows farmers of the future and unifies academic, social, and ecological needs directly in line with regional sustainability objectives that are evidenced in the recent Colony Farm Regional Park Visioning Workshop and in food policy initiatives across Metro Vancouver. Over 15,000 people across this region have signed this petition to maintain the farm at current 24-hectare size, and the administration has also received hundreds and hundreds of letters in support of the farm. The regional significance of the UBC Farm means that its future is not exclusively a university issue, of course, and definitely needs Metro Vancouver oversight. The UBC campus planning process has proven to be insufficient to resolve the question of the farm's future. Throughout this entire planning process, the clear and strong message of community support has not been reflected in the options provided by campus community planning. At every stage of this consultation process, students, faculty, UBC residents, and community members have stated over and over again that they want the entire 24-hectare farm saved in its current location, and yet this option has been repeatedly swept aside. The UBC Metro Van Joint Committee has heard this issue. I presented in April 2008 these very concerns. We need you to step up, and all we're asking from the Agriculture Committee recommendation is to send a letter of support and recommending that UBC does preserve this 24-hectare site. I ask you to today do that. Thank you.
As I said, I'm Art Bomke, and I'm a soil scientist in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, and I also sit on the Metro Vancouver Agriculture Advisory Committee. What I'd like to do is talk about the site itself and just give you a little bit of an orientation. The map here, I hope you can see it. In terms of what 12 hectares represents, the existing cleared area would be this area in the center, which is labeled UBC Farm. And the other currently 12 hectares of the farm would be the green areas, the forest areas, which form an important component of the farm, particularly from an ecological perspective, from wildlife, beneficial insects, and also in protecting the farm from the winds off the Strait of Georgia. The microclimate effects of the forest are important. None of this has really been considered adequately in the planning process to date. The other point to be made, there's a number of projects have been mentioned. Andrea mentioned a number of these, and they're distributed throughout the farm center from east to west and relying on the current vegetation and structure of the farm. And what should be noted is that the planning process that we've been asked to deal with at the UBC campus has presented 3 options. And they look something like this. And you can see how many of these programs fall outside the existing footprint of these projects. And starting with the red area to the east, in the biosciences area, which is physically impossible to accommodate what they've said they want to do. The 8 hectares that's been suggested will not fit in that area, and neither has UBC Campus and Planning done the technical reports to identify and characterize the quality of the soils in there. And I'll guarantee you there are some of those areas that are unusable, and we can support that.
Excuse me, Mr. Bonke, we have just a half a minute left.
Yes.
Do you have a longer presentation in terms of technical, or?
I'm trying to do this around the map here to give you some orientation to the issue here. And I guess the bottom line is we have 3 options that have been presented as part of the UBC planning process. One of them is totally impossible to accommodate what they say they're trying to do. The other 2 provide substantially less land than is needed to accommodate the programs and do not consider the ecological sort of significance of forest and agricultural land interface. So what we're suggesting is that UBC has not justified adequately the smaller land base, and that the only course right now is to support the full retention of the 24 hectares of the UBC farm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Yes, a question of the delegation, please.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate you coming, and I won't belabor this, but I will be looking forward to when this decision is made. And I want to check in with you because you're the scientific experts, and I'm a biologist myself. The things we should be looking for in terms of both the size and the location are slope, aspect, soil structure and composition, proximity to forest. Is there anything else, hydrologic cycle issues or other scientific issues that we can look at to guide us in that decision?
I think you've hit most of the key issues, and I guess to emphasize that this farm is here by intention. The people who cleared the land in the 1960s had their choice of the whole South Campus. This was the area they selected, again, because of the ability to improve those soils and the drainage and the aspect. And so we're dealing with a site that was intentionally selected by some people with some very good ecological and agricultural credentials.
And I guess I'm just with brief follow-up questions, just to confirm that the site that they're proposing to move it to is not have the sufficient soils in your professional opinion.
That is, in my opinion, that's the case, and also that UBC has not done the technical work. They've not had the expertise out there to be able to make that kind of decision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 3 additional questioners. If we could keep them to questions, please. Director Steves.
Yeah. My question also is to Dr. Bomke. There's no one on the agenda today that I can see from the Agricultural Advisory Committee, which recommended to the Agriculture Committee on this recommendation. We have a situation where last week this board rejected removal of the Jackson Farm from the green zone. We have an item on the agenda today suggesting that Quantum University and Colony Farm might work on the Colony Farm issue with Metro Vancouver. And we have in Richmond, for example, a process where Richmond has over 24 hectares that they're working on with Quantum University. All of this to produce urban agriculture in urban centers throughout the region. And I guess that UBC, which was the leader in agriculture in British Columbia, in fact in Western Canada, is being asked to confine itself to 8 hectares. I just wonder how you see UBC trying to lead us into the new century where we have the problems with global warming and peak food as well as peak oil and all the other issues. If you don't have adequate land to do so, how can you tie it in with all these other projects without that farm?
I think there's no question that the program of the farm would have to be curtailed, and this is in contrast to the growth that we've seen in all the programs since its inception in the last 8 years. So we're going to go the other direction. The other thing I'd like to suggest here is that the soils are typical of upland soils in the region. That is Vancouver, Burnaby, North Shore, Tawasin, upland Surrey. And that is what we bring to this mix of sites that I think your committee is recommending that we have in order to support local food production and food security in the region.
Thank you very much. We have Director Corrigan, Director Higginbotham, and Director Weinberg. Director Corrigan, please.
I wanted to ask if the diagrams have been, and other information have been provided to the Agricultural Committee, or can we get copies of the diagrams for us?
Thank you. Has this set of maps been made available to your knowledge, Mr. Caroline, or perhaps through to the chairs of the committee?
Not to my knowledge, Director Steves, has this diagram been to Agriculture Committee?
We have a number of maps, so this is a new one, and I think explains it much better than the maps that we have already.
I'd like, if it was possible, for the delegation to circulate a copy so that we can reproduce it. I would like to have that. The second thing is that I think that if people anticipate the 5 minutes is not enough here. I know that at the Land Use Committee, we would certainly entertain delegations in the future to give us a more complete understanding. And lastly, I had a question of the sheet you've given is excellent. It's a 2-page sheet that gives a lot of information in a very small amount of space, saving paper. But I did just want to ask a question about what is the lease report. It's referred to in there, and I'm not familiar with it.
Yes, Mr. Trump, or I'm sorry.
I'll give it my best shot too.
Yeah.
The leads report is a report that was an independent report commissioned by Campus Community Planning and working with the Dean of Land and Food Systems that did not have the breadth and depth that a report like this kind of nature about it, a farm, of UBC Farm's potential would have. Of the faculty that takes part in the farm, only 4 of the 14 faculties were actually addressed on it and didn't have any types of future planning objectives. And the 8-hectare number that is listed, that comes from the lease report as a minimum, and it only includes the cultivated fields. It doesn't include all the other necessities that the farm needs to function, like the roads and the turning radiuses and the buildings and the gathering spaces. So cover it lacks the agricultural expertise basically needed to make this decision. And to be honest, a lot of all the technical reports from Campus Community Planning's plan process didn't have enough resources, and I asked 3 of the 4 other reports about that, and they said yes, we just didn't have the resources to give the depth that they need. And this is another example of that, and it's dealing with something that cannot stand for that.
Okay, I understand there is a copy of the report attached to the agricultural report, so I'll be able to read it. But I appreciate the additional information on your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And alternate director Higginbotham, a question, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I too wanted some information because I've never seen this as up to date and as detailed as it is. But details, again, honeybee immunology research. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I think should be brought forward to the public because I don't think they have any idea that this is not maybe just organic farming. What I'm doing here and learning here is that it's all about research and understanding what the future holds for us. And I will say, Madam Chairman, I was at UBC during the 60s, and I will say that as an alumni, I have not seen this in any of the alumni information. But the president of your university now, Stephen Tu, did go to every community in the Lower Mainland and had a round table discussing issues. And in the Surrey round table, I did bring up about the fact of what was the future for the farmland and for the agriculture community at that point, because that was a point that was brought forward and was discussed. And they simply did not have a lot of direction or, shall we say, your forward-looking and forward-thinking that at that point that we see today. So I guess, and I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, I didn't mean to sort of give a speech. I did mean to say that there is stuff that has been discussed, but it's never been brought forward. And that's why I appreciate your information, because factual information does help. So I really appreciate that. But I would like a copy of this and more understanding behind the research. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, and our last questioner from the board is Director Weinberg, please.
I'm not going to give a speech, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure quite who to address them to. But first of all, I'd like to know whether or not this area, A, is an agricultural land reserve, B, whether it's in the green space to begin with.
Thank you. Is this area in the agricultural land reserve? Do we have that knowledge at the table? Mr. Bomke, it's not?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
And is it in the GVRD green space?
Is it in our green space, Mr. Ron?
All right. So the other question I have is, I'm generally supportive of what this group is trying to do, but is it possible for them to actually make an application to have this put into the green space of the GVRD and into the agricultural land reserve?
Mr. Caroline?
The issue of whether this should go into the green zone and have an agricultural designation is part of the discussion that has already been alluded to at the Land Use and Transportation Committee and will be part of the decision that committee will recommend to the board as part of the new growth strategy. The agricultural land reserve, I think the owner would have to go to the Land Use Commission and make that recommendation.
So we, being counsel for this electoral area, cannot make that request?
I'm not sure about that. We could make that request, but without the owner's consent, I think it would be difficult. But that may well be the kind of issue that could be worked out in the joint committee.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see no further questioners. Thank you very much, delegation, for coming forward.
Thanks so much for hearing us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And